here to let you know that you do not and should not throw your ambitions out the window just because you have a baby. It may seem hard to get into the groove of things, but know that you should not give up on your ambitions because they were put inside of you for a reason. Having kids, I see now, is more of a reason to really go after your ambitions. You have a reason because you need to show your children, your child, that it's able to be done. They need a role model. And if you give up on your dreams, you're teaching them that when they have children, if they have children, they need to give up on their dreams. That's not the way it should happen. We have children and we become a different version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves for them. It shouldn't be the other way around. The time is now to boldly step forward, love with intensity, and embark on the journey to create the best version of yourself. Let's breach these barriers together. Hey, family, and welcome back to the BreEvolve podcast. I hope you had a beautiful, purposeful week. I know I did. I was being very intentional with my thoughts and my actions, and I'm feeling great. I hope y'all are too. Every day is not promised, so every time we wake up, we have breath in our body, we need to make that a priority. We need to make our purpose a priority. What we have in our heart, we need to make sure we're getting it out onto the earth because tomorrow's not promised. And I'm on a mission to make sure with this podcast that I get out as many messages in my heart as possible because I have so much in here that I just need to let it out. And it's something that my kids will be able to see, my grandkids, their great grandkids. So I'm excited. Every time God gives me the opportunity, I'm jumping on it now because I've wasted too much time. And for me to think that I have more time to waste, sorry for the foolishness, God. Sorry for the foolishness. So, welcome back. Today, I really just want to talk about the struggles of parenthood. I'll be talking from the mom point of view, but I feel like moms and dads can both benefit from this. So let's get into it. But before we do that, I would just truly appreciate it if you all hit the subscribe and follow and like button because it pushes the algorithm to those that may really need to hear this message and it shows that it is valuable. So your support means the world to me. So let's get into it. This message was heavy on my heart. Really, I feel like for a long time, it's been my mission to really connect with mothers and on a deeper level that I don't truly understand yet, but I'm just going to get this message out there. Y'all are not alone. You are not alone. Motherhood can be so isolating, and I feel like there's no way you can truly prepare for it. I had my first child 7 years ago, and at that time, I feel like social media wasn't really, it was relevant, but it wasn't really to the point where you can see all these motherhood accounts and, feel like you're not alone. I was the first in my friend group to have a baby, and my husband and I were really just trying to maneuver and figure out this new way of life. You can feel like you're losing yourself, but just know that there's a new version of yourself that's emerging and forming through the loss of your old self. Having a child forever changed my life. After I got over the fact that my life is no longer just mine, like every decision I make will affect my children and my household, my family, my husband, I was more receptive of becoming this new version of myself, which is just beautiful. I shed my old skin and I'm evolving into this new person that really I was meant to be, but I didn't realize that's what was happening. Change is hard, very, very hard, no matter what stage of life it is. Well, change is hard for me. I like change, but change is very hard. It's kind of weird. So, navigating this new way of life before pre-kid era, pre-kid era, I had all these ambitions and I kind of just sat on my hands. Like I took time for granted and I beat myself up so much about it. I was just so disappointed that I was not productive with my time. And once I had a child, my time was no longer mine. And I was so frustrated and couldn't figure out how to really get my stuff done. Like my ambitions, I didn't want to throw them away, but it started to seem like I was going to have to throw them away because I literally could not find the time to pour into myself, to do the things that I know I'm supposed to be doing. I couldn't find the time to do it. So I just let myself go into what culture would have me do, work the 9 to 5 job and stay home and only care for the kids, and what culture deems as correct. It's this notion that motherhood is synonymous with suffering. We have to give up so much of ourselves to prove that we're a good mother or a good wife at that, good partner at that. We have to give up so much, and if we don't, we're seen as stingy, or she not caring for the baby. She don't care about that baby. She don't care about her household because they see a woman pouring into herself. I'm here to let you know that you do not and should not throw your ambitions out the window just because you have a baby. It may seem hard to get into the groove of things, but know that you should not give up on your ambitions because they were put inside of you for a reason. Having kids, I see now, is more of a reason to really go after your ambitions. You have a reason because you need to show your children, your child, that it's able to be done. They need a role model. And if you give up on your dreams, you're teaching them that when they have children, if they have children, they need to give up on their dreams. That's not the way it should happen. We have children and we become a different version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves for them. It shouldn't be the other way around. We shouldn't give up everything because we have them and then let ourselves waste away. Then we have nothing else to show them or teach them or give to them. We're going to be this cranky, listen, I've been there. You're going to be this cranky person who's always resenting everything. And when you get older, I can only imagine if I kept on that same path. When I got older, I would look back at my life and be like, what was it all for? Like, my kids are out the house now, and what do I have for myself? Except for showing my kids that you don't have to go after your dreams because it's hard. That's all it was. So having children, I see now that it's a push for me to go in the direction that God is telling me to go. Even more of a reason to go in the direction that God is telling me, because if it's in my heart, it's for a reason. Other people need it. And I also need my children and my husband. You never know who's watching, my friends, my family. I need everyone to see that it's possible to still go after your dreams. I now see my children as a way to really unlock my full potential. I've learned so much since having children that I honestly don't think that I would have learned, or at least not at the pace that I'm learning it now, if I didn't have kids. They're unlocking parts of me that I didn't even know that I needed to work on. And I feel like God won't allow me to really get to the level that I see in my future if I don't break down these things that I need to work on and work on them. And I've grown so much. And I was in a place where I just didn't know if I was fit for the job. If we could be honest here, I didn't know if I was fit to be a mother because it was just so freaking hard. It was hard. It is hard, but it was like unbearably hard. And it was like I was culture shocked. I think that's what it was, because people try to tell you what to prepare for, catch up on your rest because honey, you ain't gonna get no sleep. Your life is done. You having kids. Like I didn't have people that had kids that were my age. This was the advice from the older generation, and I can't blame them because it's what they went through. But the older generation was always given unsolicited advice, which they still sometimes do. But you got to set those boundaries. I had this perception that I would have to ultimately give up our lifestyle of traveling or our go-getter mindset, our ambitions, like put them on hold just because we had kids. And I said, I'm not doing that. That's while I was pregnant. And then the time came and it was really hard. And I was like, maybe I do just have to sacrifice everything that I've ever wanted to do. And then I'm like, no, I just have to grow up. I got to do it. I have to grow up. It got really hard, and I was in a space where it was almost impossible to even find the time to do what I want to do. I would sit down to do a task or try to focus on something, and it seemed like I was getting interrupted like every 5 minutes. I was constantly getting interrupted to the point where I got so frustrated. Even with working out, I would get interrupted and get so frustrated to where I just wanted to be like, forget it all. Like, what am I doing? Why am I causing myself all this stress trying to do more than just be a mother or just be a wife? I had tricked my mind into saying that it would just be easier if I just gave up everything that I was trying to do that was outside of my immediate duties of the household. I said, all the extras, why am I making it hard for myself? So before I record anything, I always look through my notes, and I found this prayer that I wrote in a time where I was so frustrated. And it's so timely that I found this right before I started recording this. So I want to read you the prayer, and I just really hope that this helps you to just hold on to hope, to really call on God, because this is the mind space that I was in. It had to have been last year because I keep a running list of ideas or feelings that I've had that I feel like could help other people. So let me read you the prayer. Lord Jesus, please allow me to see that my children are here because I was assigned to this task. Please change my heart posture so that I know time is limited with them and the work that I am doing can be done for them. Please change my mindset, not my circumstances, because I realize the circumstances will change me into the person that I need to be for this next stage of life. But thank you for trusting me with this mission to create these well-loved and well-rounded human beings that will spread love and light wherever they go for the goodness of all people. I remember the headspace I was in, realizing I was entrusted with this mission. I always knew it. I know it. It doesn't make it any easier. So I had to pray that I can grow into this role and pray knowing that I must have to go through this to get to my next stage of life. I don't know what my next stage of life is. I just know this is hard. But I know the hard things is what gets me to the next stage of life. Like, I know I must have to grow in some areas of my life to be able to get to the place that I see for myself. So that's the headspace I was in. Today, I can see that my children have grown me so much. I had to grow into the person that was determined and resilient enough to get it done, to get what's put in my heart to get it done. I had to grow into that person. I had to see that if there is a will, there is a way. Giving up is not an option with anything that I do in life. So easily in the past, I would start stuff and give up. But now I want it, and I feel like I want it at a time where there's so much distraction and so much frustration because I can't find the time. I'm growing into that person that will get it done. And I see that if I didn't grow into that person, I would never get anything done in the future. And I wouldn't have the things that I could see for myself because I wouldn't have gone through the process of getting to what I want. I had to grow into the person that was in constant communication with God. I had to learn that I needed to ask Him for everything. When things got frustrated, ask Him for what I need and to not rely on my own willpower. Operating in my own willpower, I've tried to do that in the past and I've only gotten but so far, but I know now on this spiritual journey, it will run out. It absolutely will run out. So trying to do things in my own willpower will not give me the same results as if I involve God in it, doing it on His accord or asking for Him for the strength or asking Him for what I need or the people that I need. I had to learn to be in constant communication. And I don't think I would have gotten to this point without having my children. I had to grow into a person that had more patience. I used to consider myself before children a very, very patient person. And my children have shown me that there were much more levels that I could have learned. I went up probably about 10 more notches. And I just only envision me having to use this patience in the future for whatever I have that is super big that I have to have more patience for. I had to create healthy boundaries. Doing it for myself was hard, but when you have to create boundaries to protect these little people that can't protect themselves, I had to get a backbone and create boundaries for me that will affect them. I had to grow into the person that works hard to find solutions to things. I can't give up. When you have to figure out something for one of your kids, you can't give up because they can't do it on their own. I had to figure out how to do certain things, and I've grown my problem solving skills because of that. I grew into the person that saw how valuable my time was. I had to grow into the person who could figure out healthy coping mechanisms. I was pushed to live a healthier lifestyle. I can no longer just eat out all the time because my children need healthy foods to eat. And it's expensive to buy healthy foods from restaurants all the time for 5 people. Like I was pushed to exercise more because I was always exhausted and I wanted my energy to be up and not be so cranky and groggy when my children wanted to play. I had to buy certain foods to stay in the house because if they're just snacking on junk food all the time, then I'm starting them off on the wrong foot in life and opening them up to more health problems. Like I want them to have healthy patterns, a healthy lifestyle. So when they get older, they will want to go buy healthy foods from the store or they will want to go work out when they get older. And it's not this foreign thing of them trying to figure out how they'll be able to become healthier because we started them off on the wrong foot. It's a constant push for me to be a better person because I always have these little people looking towards me. When I was doing it for myself, I wanted to mentally, but I didn't really have that push to get it done because I would always find something else more important, or I would always say, oh, I could just do it tomorrow if I didn't feel like working out or cooking, or it was always an excuse. Having my kids, it really didn't give me an opportunity to use a cop out to say, not today. It has to be today. It really pushed me to be in purpose. It pushed me to be intentional because they're always watching. I can now see clearly without all the fog and frustration and regret and all the negative feelings. I could see so clearly that I was being pushed. I still am, but my perspective is different. I'm being pushed constantly to become the best version of myself. And it's because my children, having my kids, they really pushed me to my limits. And I'm able to see how strong I am now. They really pointed out the areas in myself that needed to be worked out and strengthened. And boy, was it a lot. It was a lot of areas that I needed work in. I'm not sure that I would have figured that out without having my children. I honestly don't think so because I probably wouldn't have put myself in situations that seemed hard or out of reach or asked God to give me the strength to go into these spaces. I wouldn't have done that. And my kids, having them is kind of like I don't have a choice. It's like I was forced to be in the gym. Like my husband and I wanted to have kids. We had our first child. Then we were like, okay, we want to have them close together. We said we wanted 3. We wanted to have them close together so they could grow up together, be in schools, because the way my husband and I's family, our siblings were so far apart. We're at least 7 years apart with each of them. So we wanted them to grow up together and be in school together. And also, when one graduates, we don't want to be kind of like starting the process all over again because we've seen with our parents, how that is. So we said we started, so we want them to be close together. They'll be like besties, fight, but they always gonna have each other back. We didn't realize that it would be so hard. And I have a very active husband, and he's a very active father. And I just want to give a shout out to all the single moms, single dads. It's hard with 2 people doing it. I really tip my hat off to y'all because I cannot imagine how I would do it. I know when you're pushed to do things, you figure it out, but it's so hard with 2 of us and we have outside help. So I tip my hat off to y'all, really. Like I said before, my husband and I, We didn't have a lot of peers who had children, so we usually get asked a lot of questions. So I just wanted to share some of the most frequently asked questions that we get and give my perspective on them. The first one is, how do you do it? It's such a vague question, but I think I get it. Like they see how hectic or they see how eventful our household is and how we still try to find time to do what it is that we like to do. So the question is always, how do you do it? I don't know how you do it. It's so funny because my husband and I had our first kid 2017. We were in our early 20s. The first kid was the breakthrough to the culture of parenthood. It was super hard and we were just trying to navigate it. So then we had our second kid and we were like, this will be easy because we know how to raise a child. We had our second baby. Our first kid was a boy. Our second baby was a girl. And we were like, that Mr. Krabs meme where he's like spinning in circles. We were like, what? What? It was pretty chaotic. So then we were like, okay, we complained when we had one kid. Having two kids, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So then we couldn't just stop there. We had another, and we were like, adding on one more, we should be good because we got this. We know how to do this. So we had three, and we was like, what were we thinking? Two was a walk in the park. Like, what? We were completely flabbergasted, to say the least. We were like, what in the world? Each time we had a child, we were even more shocked at how much harder it could be. So now, a little hack we keep the perspective of if we had four kids. Just imagine how easy this stage is now. We're not having four kids, but we're saying, like, imagine in your mind, like, if there was another child here, what we're saying is hard. This is not as hard as it could be. And we make the most out of our time. We try to just keep moving forward and don't stay in the stuck or frustrated space too long because that could really get you down. Just being grateful that is not as hard as it could be. Another question we get, is it stressful? We have a lot of stressors in our life. Everyone does. So having the stressors you currently have in your life and then imagining how you could even fathom adding on more stressors to your life, it's stressful, but having a perspective change can lessen your stress. So we change our perspective by reminding ourselves that God entrusted us with this mission to mold these little minds, these little people, into great people that will mold the world, make the world a better place. I truly believe my kids will make this world a better place. We're just here to facilitate that and make sure they have what they need, and we're feeding them what they need, feeding their minds what they need. So we're up for the mission, and when things get hard or stressful, we have to just remind ourselves of that. This is bigger than us, way bigger than us. Another one that I get a lot is, how do I manage my time to make sure that everyone's cup is filled? To do this, I have to be my best self. I'm naturally someone who likes to fill up other people's cups, and it used to be at the expense of my own. I had to realize my self-worth. So I had to first pinpoint that I am worthy of feeling peace and joy and happiness, and I don't have to people please to get it. And I had to get my mental space in order, and I had to set clear boundaries because I had to get out of the people pleasing space to really be able to fill up my own cup and to realize what's more important and really prioritizing where I put my energy. My energy should be going to me, my family, my ambitions, my loved ones. I needed to put boundaries on things that weren't really serving me and left me depleted. I love how things are changing generationally. So, like I said before, being a good mother was kind of synonymous with suffering. To be a good mother, I really wholeheartedly believe, and there's a lot of people that believe it now, which is so amazing. To be a good mother, you need to first pour into yourself. I need to make sure that my mental health is in a good space, and I need to make sure that I'm doing things that I still like to do and not just only doing what I need to be doing for my household. I need to be doing things that I like because my joy will overflow to my household. If I'm depleting myself and not taking care of myself, I won't be taking care of my loved ones. So I had to learn that it was not selfish to pour into myself and do things that I wanted to do. I had to realize that if I do this, or if I rest when I really need to, I had to realize that if I do this, I'll be 10 times more better of a partner or a mother than I could ever be if I wasn't resting or doing anything that I wanted to be doing. In the beginning, mom guilt, not even just in the beginning, mom guilt is real. I just now have a perspective of mom guilt is there, but I got to X that out because I know that ain't nothing but the enemy trying to make sure I stay depleted so I don't give out all of this love that I need to my family. Like this mom guilt, I don't know where it came from, but when it comes up, I say, nope, not today. That ain't for me. That's not for me because I'm supposed to rest and I'm supposed to feel content so that I'm able to be the best that I could be for the world. Another question I get is, how do I cope? Because motherhood is so demanding that it really pulls at your emotional strings. At first, it was unhealthy. I would cope with alcohol or sweets. I feel like that was always my go to make myself feel better in a space where I feel like I couldn't really do anything to like get out. But now I unplug, don't look at screens, and I get out into nature, connect with God by seeing his creatures and seeing the plants outside and really looking from a perspective of this is all more than me. And it really grounds me to see all these creations that couldn't be here without God. Knowing that I'm a part of God's creations and his plan, it really allows me to just be like, okay, what I'm worrying about, it can't be that bad. If it won't matter in 5 years, I'm not giving 5 minutes to it. Really connecting outside, getting outside physically, like going to take a walk, looking at the plants, looking at the insects, looking at the animals, even looking at the other people. It's like, wow, my mind is, it goes into, it's like I unlock a new portion of my mind. I feel so connected with God, and whatever I was worried or stressed about shrinks so much. I pray. I pray all the time. It's a continuous dialogue with God all day, every day. I'm praying all the time in my head, out loud in my head. If I feel overwhelmed, I take a breather, I step away, I cry it out. It's okay to cry. I'm talking to my former self because if you would ask me, child, I don't cry. I don't cry. I'm a thug. I don't cry. Anybody would tell you like, Bree, no, she don't cry. Having children, they really allow me to tap into my emotional side. They're all emotions, but they allow me to tap into the culturally unpopular emotions. If I don't cry it out, I'm holding it in, which will be saved for a later date to where I can't hold it in anymore. I'd rather just get it out and move on with what I'm supposed to be doing. So, child, I step away and I cry and I come back feeling so much better. It feels like I had a whole therapy session after I just cried out instead of trying to hold it in or muster through it or not think about it. It's just let it out. It's okay. Just cry it out and come back better. So something else that I do is I surround myself with positivity. So I surround myself with positive people, whether that's phoning a friend, sending out a text to a friend with good vibes, having a friend over, going out to meet a friend for lunch. I also listen to worship music, put on uplifting podcasts, turn on a sermon. I really submerge myself in positivity. And on the flip side of that, whenever I get a negative thought, I interrogate that thought. I question it. I say, is this thought my own? Or did somebody put this thought in my head? Is this thought real? Does it have any facts behind it? And is it something that I need to just let go and let God do his work on? I really interrogate it, and usually the thought just goes away. Is it a thought that's invoked from fear? Has something actually happened, or are you afraid something will happen? In that case, you need to tap into God. Like, interrogate all the negative thoughts, and that's really helped me. There's some things that I wish somebody would have told me when I stepped into motherhood that I really think will help y'all. So the first one is to trust yourself. You'll get a lot of unsolicited advice, and it'll be from people that are just expressing the way that they did things and the way that has worked for them. Every person is unique. You were uniquely chosen for the mission, and your baby was uniquely chosen for the mama and the daddy. So I want you to just know that you need to trust your gut and do what you think is right for your child. And if the advice helps you that's unsolicited, that'll be fine. But if it doesn't serve you, it's okay. Let it go. You don't have to do things just because it's a family member that said it. And you don't have to allow things in your household or allow other parenting skills from other people just because you know them and you feel bad for saying no or you feel bad for correcting them. This is your mission. This is your baby. You got to trust your gut and know that you will figure it out even if you don't know the answer. You will figure it out and you'll feel the answers when they come to you. You'll know what to do for your baby. So you don't need to let any outside forces or outside noise come in between your household of what you got going on. It means nothing to the outside because they did what worked for them, and that's beautiful. What worked for them may not work for you. So just learn to trust yourself, trust your gut, and trust that you know your child best because you are there with your child all the time and they lived inside of you. You can feel that connection. Trust yourself. As women, as moms, we feel like we could do it all. We think we're superhuman. I know, I think I'm a superwoman. That's because when things come up, we're going to figure it out. I just really want you to keep that same energy with yourself. Do it all for yourself as well. We figure it out because we're pushed in the corner and we have to figure things out. But I want you to figure out how to make yourself feel fulfilled. Go that extra step to make yourself feel your best because you deserve it. And so do your children. And so does your partner and those that are connected to you. They all deserve to have the version of you that is fulfilled and happy and filled with peace and joy. And we have to get there by keeping the same energy of we can do it all with ourselves because we can. We just have to unlock it and tap into it. Something else that's really helped me is to create a realistic schedule for yourself. Don't put too much on your plate because you feel like you should be able to get it all done. And when you don't have the mental capacity or the physical capacity to do it all, at the end of the day, when you don't check everything off your to-do list, you'll feel like a failure. You'll have this sense of, I can't get what I say I'll get done. I can't get it done. So why even try? Once you do that one too many times, that's the feeling that you'll have. And I know because I created that for myself. So making a list of things that I should be doing with the time that I know I have. If I know I have my children from these certain times, then I know that I won't be able to completely focus on this one task just because I want to. It's created a sense of I let myself down when I don't actually get it done. Keeping it realistic will allow you to have a sense of accomplishment in your day once you get these things done. Another tip that's really helped me is to be intentionally present. We do things as a parent to just make sure, our family's good, they have everything they need, that we don't really see our children as people that we need to be enjoying. We kind of see them as this task that, okay, I checked it off, but we need to be feeding into them and taking in those moments of these little human beings that will never be this little again, that will never be this age again, and will never get this moment back again. We need to really be present and not just see it as we need to get this done. It's done. Okay, now I could go tend to me. We need to be present through it all, through the cooking dinner, through the doing the homework, or just sitting watching TV. Like being present, I've opened my eyes and just look at them while they're watching TV like, oh my goodness, they'll never be this age again. And then that really invokes me to go, start an activity with them. Like, hey, do you want to do this? Like just seeing and being there for these moments that I know maybe in a few years they might not want to do a puzzle with mommy, or they may not want to do a science experiment that I found on the internet because it's lame, or I don't know what they'll be saying in the future. Being present has really opened my heart up to these little human beings that won't be this age ever again. I'll never get this moment back with them. And I look back at pictures and I'm like, where did the time go? And that reminds me that I'm taking time for granted. So being present is a must. I think this one is the most important of them all. And that is, be proud of all that you do, even when you slip up. I do a lot that I don't even give myself credit for. So then when I slip up, I feel like I'm a failure and I've done nothing right. I need to give myself credit and a pat on the back for doing everything that I do in the day for my children and for my household. I make sure they're fed. I make sure they're where they need to be. So you just need to be proud of yourself for doing the little things that may go overlooked. But if you didn't do them, it will change the dynamic completely. So be proud of yourself and know that I'm proud of you and you are a rock star in my book, okay? Superwoman in my book. And you should be proud of yourself and give yourself grace, because we all have bad days. We're all just trying to figure it out. In the same way you give yourself grace, make sure you extend that grace to somebody else, because we are all on a journey trying to figure it out and we all have slip ups. So please, if this has helped you, share it with your friends, share it with your mama friends, share it with your daddy friends. Share it, because parenthood is all across the board hard, and we all just need an encouraging word. I was only saying mamas because I can feel that to my core. I don't know what it feels like to be a dad. I was not discriminating, but I feel like this can help all parents. And we really just need to be open to having conversations more about this and letting people know that you struggling. Hey, I'm struggling too. Let's figure out how we can do better at this and not just put on this facade like we're not tired or we don't get overwhelmed, or, we need to share our resources and share our struggles so we know that we're not in this alone, and to also think of solutions together. So I love you guys, and I hope you have a purposeful week. And thank you for tuning in once again. I will see you next time.